Welcome to Podcast on TechNation. This is a series of podcasts focused specifically on the biomedical and HTM industry. Episodes will be added monthly. Listening to each episode is eligible for 1 CE credit from the ACI. At the conclusion of this episode, you will be able to access a link that will take you to a quick survey. You will be able to download your certificate once you submit the survey. Before we begin today's podcast, I'd like to invite you to save the dates for our upcoming MD Expo. We will be in Temecula, California, October 11th through 13th. Please visit mdexposhow.com for details and registration information. Podcast on TechNation would like to thank our sponsor, Multi-Medical Systems. When you're in the business of protecting the health of patients, you don't have time for malfunctioning medical equipment or dull surgical instruments. You need a reliable partner that can provide expert repair and planned maintenance to ensure you have patient-ready equipment that meets or exceeds OEM guidelines and regulatory requirements. For more information, visit multimedicalsystems.com. In this episode, we are joined by Chace Torres, who gives awareness and a voice to garner more attention to the HTM industry, as well as Bryant Hawkins, who explains what biomed techs do. They both will also shine light on their very own podcast, HTM on the Line in the Bearded Biomed. Chace and Bryant, you may begin whenever you are ready.
Hey, welcome back to HTM Insider. Again, I'm your host, Sherelle with Multi-Medical Systems, and this is going to be kind of different today. So we've got two other HTM podcasts on with us. We have Bryant Hawkins and Chace, the Bearded Biomed. I know you've heard of that guy. And we're going to just talk about some things in the industry and then, share some experiences that we're experiencing ourselves as podcast hosts and just in the industry itself. So thanks for joining us again today. And I want to start off with my friend Bryant with Crothall and HTM on the Line. Bryant, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Sherelle. My name is Bryant Hawkins, Sr., and as mentioned, I am the host of HTM on the Line, and it's a podcast that is by HTM for HTM.
Like it. And Chace, go ahead, take it away.
Appreciate you having me. Hopefully you guys listening know me as the Bearded Biomed. Was partially inspired by the HTM Insider podcast, and it's kind of grown to be something special, and I really appreciate all the listeners, and I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, isn't it kind of amazing, that Field of Dreams kind of everyone thought that we were a little crazy. I know everyone thought I was a little crazy, which is par for the course. But, we built it and they're coming and they're listening. So thank you for all you tuning in and listening on our podcast and on TechNation where you're getting your CEU credits, which, is an extra bonus, right? So let's kind of jump in. So if I give you each a magic wand, just imagine a magic wand in your hand. You're the fairy godmother of HTM. Chace, what would you change in the industry right now if you had a magic wand and you could wave it?
I mean, the first thing I could think of is something that would dramatically impact the field, which is awareness, because that was one of the sole reasons I created the podcast, was to give more voice, more attention to the industry as a whole. Let people know that aren't affiliated with the field, doesn't have any kind of contact with the biomed at all. If there was something like a magic wand that I could wave to really put the HTM professional as a career path on the same level as our nurses, doctors, anesthesiologists, radiologists, as a tangible, sought after career path that any person coming out of, high school, college, what have you, would want to pursue.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And Bryant, don't you agree? Like, you've been in the business a long time. When you said I'm a biomed, did you get confused with biomedical engineering? Like, people thought you were with beakers and testing things and creating motion potions in the background?
Well, actually, when I tell people I'm a biomed tech, well, back then, well, today also, what is that? That's the first question I get every time I say I'm a biomed tech. And then when I go explaining to them what biomed techs do, oh, that makes sense. And if you offer me that question that you gave Chace about the magic wand, if I could put one out there, I would stop the aging and bring everybody back 25 years. But since that probably won't happen, if I'm on the same boat with Chace with making everyone aware of the industry, because everyone, they need a lot of people right now. And if we can make people aware of it, and I was just talking to my wife about this, and she gave me a good idea. She said, how about if you just go to all of the schools that have the program and give the instructors your podcast link? And that can give it to their students. And their students can take it and give it to their friends who ask them what they're taking in school. So I went on, it's the HTM in the Box link, and Amy has a list of every school in America by state. So I'm up to 5 advisors. I started today. So I just shot them an email, and Chace says maybe something you can pop in there. I'll send them your link also. And that way they can share it with their friends who ask them, because I know everybody friend asks, what you taking up in school? And they could share these podcasts with them, and they could find out, or they could share it with their students. So that's my goal. And I'll send all 3 of our links to each email.
And we did a podcast. We did an episode that was called "What is a BMET?" And how do you become a BMET? Right. So it's out there, and I just want people to Google search that.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe that's something you guys can add and maybe add a link to that episode with Monty from CBET. But it just goes back to the basics. And I know that Bryant and I share something special. We both have brand new BMET ones as kids. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. My son, he's really enjoying the field. And every day he's glad he's in the field. And the funny story, like when I used to go to his baseball games and he's a kid, I'll go with my scrubs on. And the first question the kids ask, your dad's a nurse, doctor? Nah, he's a biomed tech. What is that? So he comes home one day after leaving the grocery store. He has on scrubs. He said, Dad, I'm you. I said, what you mean? He said, one of my friends saw me wearing scrubs and asked me, was I a nurse or a doctor? I said, no, I'm a biomed tech. What is that? It's like repeating itself. Yes, sir. Yeah, I said, that's funny.
And we had Danielle McGarry on talking about HTM in a box, right? Mm-hmm. I've used it myself. I've even sent it to adults.
Yes.
Who are looking to change careers. Maybe they're just, tired of what they're doing, or maybe they had a career-ending moment that they're looking for a new profession. And they're the same thing. What is it, right? I mean, honestly, you guys, I thought we had to pick up biomed waste. When I first heard about being a BMET or biomed, I'm like, I am not picking up hazardous waste in a red bag in my car. That's what I thought it was. And that was 9 years ago, 10 years ago? So, yeah, there's a lot of education to do out there. And then when you go to the doctor's office or you go to any clinic, are you guys the people like myself looking for the PM stickers?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah, every time.
My son does that now, too. He tells me, Dad, I'm looking at the stickers now. I say, it's a habit you'll never forget.
Another habit my wife pointed out to me is whenever we're watching a TV show or a movie and I see a piece of medical equipment in there, I'm like, they're not using that no more. They're not using it right.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Recently that happened. And I'm like, that is a bronchoscope, not a colonoscope. That does not go in that orifice.
Absolutely.
For the favorite. I work on those.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we talked about
equipment.
We talked about, let's see, we talked about, what your magic wand would be, right? But what do you think the industry really needs right now, more than people and awareness? Can you find something else that you think, wow, if we could just give this little nugget to the industry, it would improve maybe a process or anything? What are your ideas, Chace?
So oddly enough, season 2 of Bearded Biomed launched today. And on the episode, I had the first ever Bearded Rounded Table. And I had several gentlemen on the podcast, and we talked about, what's something that's really that we could do better. I think as an industry, we have, let's say, 9 to 10,000 biomeds in the United States. Out of that, ecosystem, we only have a certain amount of people putting in extra volunteer time at AME, at Expos, us doing the podcast, Justin, Better Biomed, YouTube, Mayra, Biomed Girl. It's such a select few of people putting in their time, energy, and their money to promote the field, get people engaged, build camaraderie, share information. And the field as a whole, I mean, most biomeds are pretty introverted. I had to this podcast got me out of my shell, because one of the very few things I can talk about all day, every day to people is, what I do every day, because I love it so much. And I think if there's just a way that we could get more people to interact with each other within our field to, build that community, because if you build it, they will come. If people see that so many people within our industry are just excited about what we do and share and revel in, the impact we make day in, day out to patient care, patient safety, then, more people are going to become interested in what we're doing. So I guess the short answer to that long-winded conclusion
That's okay.
was just basically more interaction between each other and, within the field itself.
Do you know that's one of the reasons, I would say it's probably the compelling reason that HTM Insider came about? And again, remember that it was pretty new and people thought I was crazy. But how do I get a Perry Kerwin, a Chris Nowak, a Ben Sing Wang to talk to people about something that they're passionate about? Right? I mean, how do you as a general biomed get to have a conversation or hear anything that they're interested in? It's tough. I mean, they'll have their roundtables together, right? But it's really great to hear what they have to say. And, I'd like to start a question answer, like send in your questions and we can answer them,
Right.
What do you think, Bryant? What's your take on it?
Well, sort of what Chace said, like most biomeds are introverts, and I think I'm an exception to the case because I'm more outgoing. So I thought
As a DJ, you would be outgoing, Bryant.
So it's like I talk to everyone I meet about it. I thought about an idea like, how we have the kids bring your kid to work day. I was thinking maybe everyone that comes to the expo, bring a biomed with you to the expo that's never been. And I tell you, when you go to the expos, I went to my first one 2 years ago, and I've been in this field forever and never heard of it. So went to the one expo, I met tons of people, met you, and I bragged to everyone I meet about it. I said, man, you have to go to the expo. You have to check it out.
Is that the one where you all got stuck in the elevator in Florida?
Yes. Okay. That was my first one. Yeah,
Can't get more memorable than that.
Man, 16 flights of steps we had to go up just to get your luggage.
Yeah.
But yes, that was the first one, and man, it's been awesome. And personally, I think people feed off passion, and unfortunately, a lot of biomed techs don't speak with passion. It's not that they don't have the passion for the field, but it may come across like, oh, he's just talking. They don't have that, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have that, the expression. Like if you look at Ben Zing Wang, he's very knowledgeable, but he's not going to have that big old 32 teeth smile while he's talking. And some people may not gravitate toward it, but he's just very brilliant. And I think if we just can keep doing with these podcasts, because kids love electronics, and I think they're always on the move. So this is one way. It's a great way. And I think it's picking up. There's more people out there who's starting to get into the podcast. So we may have more people doing podcasts. And one thing I've been trying to do is reach out to individuals in other countries and ask them, what's your story? How you spreading the word in India and London, Italy? I mean, because the industry is so huge, and LinkedIn gives you that opportunity to meet people from all over. And I've talked with them before through messages, and their passion is just as strong as our passion is over here. And I guarantee you there are 10,000 biomeds over there who's clueless to the field. As far as their family members, they get the same questions. So I think starting here is a great start. And I thank you two for putting me in this position to do it, because I told Chace the first time I heard this podcast, thank you, sir. And I told you also, same thing. But so I think we're on the right path, just communication.
Do you know, I was pretty nervous, and everyone can tell you, including my family, that I was going to do a podcast on HTM biomeds, right? I don't turn a wrench. I manage a surgical services division. We have a ton of biomeds that work for our company. I work with a lot of people like you guys, but I don't turn a wrench, right? And I thought, who's going to tune in to listen? Who's going to tune in to listen?
The guy turned in the wrench.
Yeah, that's cool. That means a lot to me, because you put it out there, you just don't know.
It's the same technique. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Go ahead.
It's the same technique you use at the expos. I mean, everyone that meets you, they enjoy you. Like my wife always tells me, you talk to everybody. He said, you never met a stranger, have you? And I think people gravitate to your show because if they can feel that through your expressions on your show. And I think that's the same way with the podcast. They can feel the sincerity in your voices that'll make them want to listen. So that's why you're doing such a great job.
Thank you. You know, I think it's because we care, right? We care. We're trying to make a difference. And I really feel that it's our responsibility in this industry to be stewards of that healthcare dollar and that patient care first mentality.
Yes.
And there has to be somebody out there putting it out there to let the world know that that is the mentality of biomeds, right?
Yes.
I teach a class on customer service and career advancement for the biomed. Again, not that I've been a biomed, but I can help somebody advance and how you should look up in someone's eyes and shake their hand and how you should enter a room and all those, little niche things that can advance your career. Do you think that the introvert is more drawn to the career because typically biomed's in the basement, or it's an undercover job? It's the Pink Panther stealing the diamonds. Like, what do you think draws an introverted person to the biomed industry, and where can we change that?
I could take that one first. I think more or less the introvert is changing just because of the times. Like right now, it's 2022, and the ones that was working on the biomed equipment back when I began, some of them was with facilities, and they wasn't really biomed trained. So they came through the ranks just grandfathered into that position. Well, today they're teaching about networking. So they're teaching about how to use computers, and along with the biomed trade also. So I think that's bringing a different type of breed into the industry now. So the introverts are kind of grandfathering out. They're retiring soon. Now, the basement and the back doors are still there, unfortunately.
You're right.
But I think that's where we're going to see the change at, in my opinion.
Chace, what do you think? Like, so the younger generation coming in, how do you see that younger generation?
I think I'm in an interesting spot just because I'm older. I've been in the field for a while now, but I'm not necessarily new generation anymore. The newer techs, the tech ones that we've been adding to the career field, they're coming with different experiences, different societal norms, different, generational gaps that, each separate generation has. I mean, I imagine when y'all came up and everything, social media wasn't really prevalent at all. And, as I was going through, I still remember growing up and not having a cell phone as a kid. And when I finally got one, I was almost an adult. Nowadays, everybody's hooked up, everybody's LinkedIn, and not everybody has, the will nor the comfort level to engage with people on a face-to-face basis. However, since we are biomeds, we are HTMs, we deal with having to speak to people. We have to engage with, our clinicians, anybody within the medical industry to really get the job done. Otherwise, you're not doing an effective job. So I do see like what Brian said, is that, there are more technicians that are coming in that are more willing to extend a hand and communicate with people and build those relationships. But I just think since we're in the positions we are, we just have to kind of nudge them a little bit further.
Yeah.
And, let them know that, hey, you can do more.
I'll tell you guys a funny story. I was at a show. I don't know. I go to a lot of them. I can't remember what it was, but I remember the hallway. And I stopped and I sat down to do an email on my cell phone. And these young biomeds came walking by, and they're all HTM Insider, Hot Topics, industry leaders. And they're mumbling it under their breath as they couldn't address me. But I took that as such like a win. I was like, oh, they know who I am. But they wouldn't look me in the eye.
That's half the battle.
But they knew the tagline. So I really appreciate you guys coming on today. And, we like to wrap it up because we know everyone's time's important. But I really want to know from both of you, because I find you both intriguing, genuine, outgoing, giving souls, is I want you to impart our listeners with your words of wisdom. Now, that might be 1 word, 2 words, 10 words. But Chace, we're going to let you start it off. So your word or words of wisdom.
I'm sure Brian's going to be in the same boat as me. We have so many different words we could pull from, but I'm just going to go off what I tell my new technicians. Humility. So as a biomed, first thing first is we have to recognize that we're not going to know everything. There's always going to be a new piece of equipment. There's always going to be a new situation, new repair, new customer that may not exactly fit into what you're used to. This goes into even the podcast realm. Having that discomfort can also be comforting in realizing that, hey, it's okay. You might not know everything, but you're going to get through it as long as you're willing to put in the time, put in the work, and put in the effort.
Yeah, I really like that. Humility is really important. And servitude, right? We are servants. We're serving the medical industry, the clinicians. I really like that, Chace. So, Bryant, what are your thoughts? What's your words of wisdom? I can't wait for this.
I'm glad Chace used more than 1 word. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
I can elaborate too.
Well, we are podcast hosts. We like to talk.
Mine's kind of twofold. I would like to give word of wisdom to technicians first. And I always tell a new technician, do your best. Don't be afraid to fail. I mean, we almost expect you to fail as a BMET 1. And I always tell them the first thing you do is refer to your service manual. Don't try to go off of what you think going to fix this problem. Even if you know what's going to fix it, use the service manual. That's my number 1 goal to them. Read the manual. And that's my wisdom for a technician. And I also tell them, if they're having a long day, go up to the ICU. I still do that. Walk into the ICU, look at that patient on 7 IV pumps, then walk to the family room, just peep in there, look at that family. They having a bad day.
Oh, you're making me tear up, Brian.
We're not having a bad day. We're having a difficult, rough moment. I said, that's my motivation to them to get through the tough times. Now, as managers, I can give words of wisdom. I mean, I'm not the smartest manager, but I believe in my heart of hearts, we are in a position of being servants to our technicians. Now, people don't look at it that way, but as a leader, it's your job to serve, not your job to dictate. And I care about my people, and I let them know I care about them, and I lead them with love. And that's something the industry needs. I know it sounds corny. Love. Everybody needs love. But if you show your team that you care about them, they'll run through a brick wall for you. So That's what I would say. My words of wisdom for the managers: love your team by leaders. Lead them with love and not with just direction, because we all have things we can work on. So that's my wisdom for you.
I love it.
He had to make us tear up.
I did. I started,
Got me, man.
A very close friend of mine, 2 years ago, baby's turning 2, touch and go, coded out a couple times. I'm born early. And I got to tell you, see, I'm going to cry. I knew who those biomed were taking care of that equipment.
Yes.
You know, and that's really important. You know, whether it's your mom, your sister, your brother, your friend, your neighbor.
Yes.
That equipment matters as much as the clinician handling that equipment does.
Yes.
Because nothing's more frustrating if that equipment, you can't save a life if the equipment doesn't work right.
No, you can't do anything. And I tell them that also. This morning we got a kudos from the house supervisor on the morning huddle. Wasn't expecting it, but all she said was she appreciates Biomed's attention. And that meant the world to us. Just 6 words she said, but that's what we work for. We never get the glory, but we will get the blame.
Right.
I mean, we could fix the equipment all day, but that one IV pump that goes out, it's our fault.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Well, I got to let you guys know that we are working on a class, me and, you know, a leader in the industry. It'll be premiering soon. It's called Culture in the Biomed Shop.
Oh, okay.
Do you have it? Because it doesn't occur in a petri dish.
Nah.
Right? It's how to affect that culture. Because I think the way people move through the biomed industry, they don't move necessarily for money. Sometimes that's the case, right? We know we're always competing for the same people at $1 or $2 more. But I think the culture, people leave managers, they don't leave jobs.
Yes.
So if we're all like imparting a little bit of what we can affect the industry on, I think, you know, exactly what you said, Chace, you, Bryant, and that we really try to affect the heart and soul of our biomeds, right?
Yes.
And really make them understand that they're doing a great job and give them the applause and the snaps,
Yes.
right?
Yes. That's it. I mean,
Like
I try to take them out to lunch, show them I appreciate it. I get slapped on the wrist a lot. Hey, that's enough eating, Brian. You can't take them out. But it shows that goes a long way with a technician. Let's go to lunch.
Yep.
Really? So something simple as that goes a long way for them.
Yep, I agree.
And I am happy that, y'all are continuing another generation, for both your children in the biomed field. That's awesome.
Yes, man. I'm still smiling to tell you it was an awesome. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it came like overnight. I didn't push it to my son till he didn't figure out what he wanted to do. I said, you know what, man, this is what you're going to do. I said, trust me. If it's not what you want, it could take care of you until you figure out what you want. And now that he's in it, he doesn't want to leave it.
Yep.
So, and it's awesome. He's just 19 years old. I'm like, I try to tell every youngster, you can do this and you can get your education further while you're in the career. And some companies even pay for your further education. So,
and it's a career. Let's bottom line it. It's a real career with real advancement nationally.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Not a lot of careers can say that. So, well, guys, thanks for coming on today. This is pretty much a cool thing to get 3 podcasters together and
it's been awesome.
Share our little insights. It's so
I'm not used to this video thing, but I'm gonna try to get used to it.
That's what I was saying. We gotta get some video going, Brian. Video on the line.
Hey, see, Sherrod,
Again, didn't know exactly what I was doing. Just threw it out there. Well, thank you for joining us, listeners, with HTM Insider and, our guests today, Chace and Bryant. If you want to follow HTM on the line or the Bearded Biomed, I suggest it. And if you have any questions, get a hold of any of us because we're always here to help. Have a blessed day.
May the beard be with you.
Thank you all for a great presentation. If you enjoyed today's episode, you might enjoy our ongoing webinar series, Webinar Wednesday. You can find a calendar of upcoming live webinars as well as an archive of on-demand webinars at WebinarWednesday.live. To obtain your certificate for 1 CE credit from the ACI, please remember to click the link located below this podcast title to complete today's survey. If you have any questions, you can reach us at webinar@mdpublishing.com.